Hello, dark readers, and welcome to the Dark Side of the Library podcast. I am your host, Katie, and with me is Carrie. So today we are going through our adult fiction releases for April of 2023. We have some catching up to do, but I'm really excited. There's plenty of books coming out. So Carrie, why don't you kick us off today with your first book?
And we have not read any of these. They're not out yet, and we're not big enough book bloggers to get free copies from the publishers early. Except, thank God, Simon & Schuster just sent me a digital review copy of the new upcoming Alice Hoffman book, which I will be reading soon. I'm so excited.
That's awesome.
I think I have a deadline to read it because it'll disappear off my computer. So guess what I'm doing tonight? Watching Netflix? No. So
good.
So we haven't read any of these books yet. We're just finding out what they are. We're looking forward to them. We're not telling you about every dark book coming out on the planet. These are the ones we're the most interested in. So I'm going to start off with Ascension. Let me put this on the screen as soon as I find out what I'm doing. There it is. Ascension, a novel by Nicholas Binge. It's coming out April 25. It's a supposedly mind-bending speculative thriller, which I love thrillers. All of a sudden, a mountain appears in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Da-da-da! New mountain!
Yay.
So a group of scientists has to go check it out, as you would, because they're like, what the bleep? It's snow-covered. No one knows exactly when it showed up, or how big it might be, or how to explain its existence. So Harold, who I'm assuming is a scientist, is contacted by a shadowy organization to help investigate. So it's not like it's the National Oceanographic Society or, any of the scientific government. It's a shadowy organization. Woo! So he and his team set out for the mountain, but the higher they get, the less things make sense. Time moves differently. So I'm having a flashback of that book you read, Annihilation, or that show you watched.
Yes.
Anyway, it turns minutes into hours and hours into days. And the climbers' limbs are getting numb, and their memories of their lives before the mountain begin to kind of fade. Ew. Paranoia quickly turns to violence among the crew. Oh,
yes!
Is it called mutiny if you're on a mountain? Probably not. That's only on a boat.
Mountainy. Yeah. I'm sorry.
And check it out. They're in the snow, and suddenly slithering ancient creatures start pursuing them.
Ooh.
But they just feel like they just have to get to the top, and they're sure they're going to find their answers up there. Have they stumbled upon the greatest scientific discovery known, or to the seeds of the demise of the entire human race?
Ooh.
I'm totally going to read this. It's Ascension, a novel. Riverhead Books is the publisher. Nicholas Binge is the author. April 25 is the release date.
That one sounds really fun.
It does.
Okay, here's my first book today. It is called The Cemetery Game. It comes out April 25th. This is by Joseph J. Cristiano. Okay, so we have two twins, of course, and they communicate with the dead. So together, they're super powerful and they can communicate with the dead. And what they did was parlay their gift to fame and fortune, as probably most of us would. I have to say that. I mean, it's probably true. And they become a host, or the hosts and stars of this new reality TV show called The Cemetery Game, which is great. I wish that was real.
I would watch that.
I would watch it too. This sounds amazing. So success leads, obviously this happens all the time. The twins have this public relations disaster and they are forced into retirement. And after 19 months out of this whole public eye thing, their manager, Joyce Clark, asks if they can help this elderly woman communicate with her deceased husband. And probably, hopefully, the public will be like, oh, yay, you guys helped somebody. And maybe the network, too, will take them back. Apparently, The Cemetery Game was probably really, it was a great financial opportunity. They're like, oh, man, this is just raking in the money. So Joyce is all about that. They were very apprehensive at first taking this job, and then they're like, you know what? Fine, let's do this. So they go to Michigan to find Emily Andrews, the elderly lady, and her son, Brian. So the twins attempt to do this, contact her deceased husband, and instead, I don't know if it's instead or if it is the deceased husband, some scary, untold power and evil is revealed. The twins are then separated. David is searching for his sister frantically, and Diane finds herself a prisoner in her own self and her own body. She is forced to watch the malevolent spirit commit all of these heinous crimes and these evils, and this is to everybody. So, because they are no longer together, their powers are immensely weak, and they still have to navigate this really unfamiliar city. They need to get rid of this ancient, scary, evil being, and
Get it.
yeah, so
It.
that yeah, whoever you are. And then it says here, the cemetery game is about to begin again. So this sounds kind of quirky and fun. This is the cemetery game. This is by Joseph J. Cristiano.
I love how they made the T in cemetery shaped like a Celtic cross.
Oh man, I didn't even notice that. That's a good find.
My next book is Chrysalis, a novel by Anna Metcalfe. Comes out April 11, or I should say came out. It's a portrait of a woman in transformation and those who fall into her orbit, but also a world defined simultaneously by our isolation and our longing to connect. That's great. I can think about that when I go eat dinner by myself tonight. Okay. It was hard to be in the present, she said, but if her body were heavier and more in control, then her thoughts would clear and her mind would recover its power. What happens when a woman dares to take up space? An enigmatic young woman drastically transforms her body, working to become bigger, stronger, and stiller in the wake of a trauma. I don't know how she does this.
No.
We see her through the eyes of three characters, each differently mesmerized by her, and they are reckoning with the consequences of her bizarre metamorphosis. So I'm guessing she doesn't just go to the gym and work out and bulk up. So Elliot is a recluse who notices her at the gym, or maybe she does go bulk up at the gym. Elliot witnesses her physical evolution and becomes her first acolyte. Interesting choice of words. Bella is her mother and worries about her daughter's new way of life and the effect it's having on others.
Sure.
And her relationship is described as a close cocoon from which her daughter has broken free. And note that the cover of the book has a cocoon on it, or a chrysalis. And then a third person is Susie, her ex-colleague and best friend, offers her sanctuary and support. And she's an online phenomenon because people are following her, and she's posting viral meditation videos that encourage her followers to join her by isolating from everyone else in their lives. Whoa. I can't say I'm super sucked in by this, but I might flip through it at the library and decide a little closer. That's Chrysalis, a novel by Anna Metcalfe.
Yeah, I feel you with that one. This one is interesting. It is called Cursed Bread. It came out April 4th, and it is by Sophie Mackintosh. So, okay, so still reeling after the aftermath of what is the deadliest war that the world had ever seen, a small tiny town called Pont Saint-Esprit has lost its mind. Some historians believe that this mysterious illness and violent hallucinations were actually caused by spoiled bread. But others claim that it might be like a covert government thing, poisoning the town and, you know, trying to get some information, because that's what governments do, right? So in this little town, there's this lady called Elodie, and her husband was a baker. And she's not really a remarkable person. She's kind of plain, but she wants to, I guess, elevate herself to, you know, she wants to be, you know, awesome and seen and spotlit. So there's this new couple that comes to town, a forceful ambassador and his sharp-toothed wife, Violet. Elodie quickly wants, you know, a relationship. She's sucked into their orbit. And then there's this dangerous game of cat and mouse that begins to happen, but we don't really know who the predator is in this case and who are they preying on.
Oh.
This book I've read some reviews. It's kind of a tale of obsession, and it's a little seductive. It's a little dark and psychological thriller. Some people have actually labeled it as like a tale of being sexually frustrated. So I'm like,
Wow.
what? Yeah, it seems it's like a fever dream kind of tale. So I have a feeling a lot of people are going to be split, whether they're going to love it because it's surreal or they're just going to be like, wow, this is not for me. So if you're interested, this is Cursed Bread by Sophie Mackintosh.
I guess I'm not getting the bread basket at dinner tonight.
Get the bread basket.
Dang
Bread is good.
My next book is Games for Dead Girls, a thriller.
Ooh.
It's by Jen Williams. Crooked Lane Books is the publisher. It comes out tomorrow, April 18.
Ooh.
We're going to explore the fine line where supernatural ends and real human monstrosity begins. Yay! So, when Charlie was 11, she created a monster. For Charlie and her niece Katie, it's supposed to be a quiet holiday. There's this peaceful, out-of-the-way town in the seaside called Heathchurch, England. Charlie happens to be researching a book on the folklore of the area, as we do. There's gloomy sea and dangerous caves, and she's like, that's great, there's lots of material. And her niece Katie is just there to run wild and get some fresh air.
Woohoo.
No relation to our Katie, right?
No.
So Charlie's research reveals a deeper, darker secret, one that uncovers her own secret, carefully hidden past. Because young women are going missing again. A teenage girl is snatched from the beach in broad daylight. And before that, throughout the decades, other girls have vanished from the area. Maybe you should have done your research before you brought your teenage niece on a visit, but whatever.
Oh.
The families don't have any answers. There's no bodies to bury because they just vanish. So back in the day, Charlie's creation was a thing of felt, straw, fury, and a rusty pair of scissors in the dark. It couldn't be her monster doing this, could it? Charlie better discover the truth about the girls' disappearances, but she's about to encounter a force of pure obsessive malevolence. It's a little silly, but yet I'm intrigued. You had me until she made something out of felt, straw, and rusty scissors. I don't know.
What a monster that would be. Oh. All right. So here's, if you are finished, I will go into
I guess
my
I'm
book.
finished. I forgot to restate. I'm sorry. I'll restate the author's name. It's Games for Dead Girls by Jen Williams.
I think we're both trying to conceptualize what a weird straw man with scissors, or lady, straw thing with
But hey,
scissors.
straw and felt can burn. I'm just saying.
A fire monster. Oh my goodness. Okay, sorry. I'm still thinking about it. So my next book is called The Gifts. There's a lot. I think obsession seems to be the theme this month, I'm noticing, in adult fiction. So interesting. This is by Liz Hyder, and it comes out April 25th. In October 1840, a young woman is kind of running around in the forest in the English countryside, and these wings just sprout from her shoulders. In London at this time, there is rumors of this fallen angel, and it causes a huge stir in the city, understandably, because clearly the end of times is here.
That would be weird. Yeah, that'd be
Yes.
disturbing.
So there's this surgeon in London who's desperate for fame and fortune, and he finds himself gripped in dangerous obsession, one that will place these women he seeks in the most terrible of danger, and that is all we know. But this book, like the themes in here, it's told through 5 different perspectives. It's set against the 19th century London, which is very cool. It's an exploration of science, nature and religion, enlightenment, and ultimately the role of women in society and the dark danger of ambition. It's a lot of things, and the fact that it's got a pretty short description, I'm actually intrigued. I want to know, and I'm not ordinarily into angel books.
I have questions though. Is the surgeon trying to cut wings off of people or graft them onto them?
That's kind of what I'm wondering too, and I
Hmm.
kind of had some feeling about that. It's a lengthier book. It's almost 500 pages long, so we'll see. It already has a fairly decent rating on Amazon at 235 ratings at like 4.5. So I would say it's a pretty decent read. So this,
Just wanted to say a quick hi to Kimberly Stewart. Thanks for watching.
yay, yes. So this is The Gifts, a novel. This is by Liz Hyder.
What is next from me? I can't wait to see. Hey, that rhymed. The
Can't read.
Haunting of Alejandra by
Ooh.
V. Castro. A woman is haunted by the Mexican folk demon La Llorona in this utterly terrifying story about generational trauma, colonization, systemic oppression, and the horror at the heart of motherhood. Wow. The publisher is Del Rey. This comes out tomorrow, April 18th. Alejandra no longer knows who she is. To her husband, she's a wife, and to her children, she's a mother. To her own adoptive mother, she's a daughter. But they can't see who Alejandra has become, a woman struggling with a darkness that threatens to consume her. All. They also can't see what she sees. In times of despair, a ghostly vision appears to her, the apparition of a crying woman in a ragged white gown. It was me. No, I'm just kidding. So she goes to visit a therapist, as you should, and she begins exploring her family's history, starting with the biological mother she never knew. Oh. She learns that heartbreak and tragedy are not the only things she has in common with her ancestors. Because the crying woman was with her ancestors too. She is La Llorona, the vengeful and murderous mother of Mexican legend, and she will not leave until Alejandra follows her mother, her grandmother, and all the women who came before her into the darkness.
Wow.
But Alejandra has inherited more than just pain. She's inherited the strength and courage of her foremothers. I definitely want to check this out. This is The Haunting of Alejandra, a novel by V. Castro.
Wow. That sounds really good. Okay. My next book is called In the Lives of Puppets. It comes out April 25th. It is by TJ Klune and it is a Tor book. I've had some iffy Tor book reads, but I kind of want to read this one. I want to give Tor another chance. It's not a retelling of Pinocchio. It's kind of it's like an enchanting dystopian Pinocchio-esque world, like Pinocchio in the end of times. A
Why
little
are
bit.
there houses on the top of telephone pole type trees in the
Yeah,
forest with spindles but no leaves? What's happening?
right. I am also curious. We
Uh,
don't
It's
get a description.
it's not the Ewok village, so I don't know what's happening.
It totally looks like the Ewok village. Oh no, Tor. Okay, so here we have this strange little home that is built into a grove of trees. I like that they had, so maybe that's what they're depicting, this little adorable grove in, tree or whatever houses. So there's three little robots that live there. We have the fatherly inventor Giovanni Lawson, who is also a pleasantly sadistic nurse machine,
Wow, let
and
me
is
unpack that. Sorry.
we have a small vacuum desperate for love and attention. We also have a human who's Victor Lawson, and they live there too. They're like this little cute, safe, hidden family together in the grove of trees. Vic, the human, he finds this salvageable android named Hap. And when he repairs Hap shares that Hap and Giovanni, the sadistic nurse machine, they have a past, and the past is that they were human hunters. They would kill humans. So Hap alerts robots from their former life and where they live in their little secret grove, and all of a sudden their tiny little close family life is now being ripped apart because they have to flee and run away. Giovanni is captured and taken back to his old laboratory called the City of Electric Dreams, which I love. Together, Vic, the human, and the rest of the little family, they journey across this otherworldly country to rescue Geo from decommission or reprogramming, because they like him how he is. He's not hunting humans anymore, but he's still a part of their little family. But along the way, to save Geo, there's obviously conflicting feelings. So, because Hap is along the ride with this rescue mission, but he's also the person that turned Geo in to the robot police.
Well, there's that.
So Vic has to decide if he can accept love with strings attached. So it's not super duper dark, it seems like there's just an air of it being a little dark. But I know Pinocchio is a bit like, of all the creepy Disney movies or tales, it could be a little spooky and weird. So I'm hoping that it leans into the spooky parts in the
It
story.
might, because snitches get stitches.
My husband says that too. So this is, and I might give Tora a chance because it sounds interesting, and I haven't read like a dystopian robot horror movie novel, so I'm really excited. In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune.
I think I'm out. I got anxiety just listening to the synopsis.
You're like, oh my god, so much.
So my next book is The Last Heir to Blackwood Library. It came out April 4. It's by Hester Fox. With the stroke of a pen, 23-year-old Ivy Radcliffe becomes Lady Hayworth, owner of a sprawling estate in the Yorkshire moors. So nice atmospheric entrance here with rainy, cloudy, etc. She's never heard of Blackwood Abbey, which she just inherited or whatever, or of the ancient bloodline from which she's descended. Surprise! With nothing to keep her in London since she lost her brother in the Great War, she warily makes her trip to her new home. I'm really hoping for creepy servants like in the others. Oh, okay. The Abbey is foreboding. The servants are reserved and suspicious, but I guess they're not creepy. Shoot. There's a treasure waiting behind locked doors. A magnificent library. I'm in. I'm buying this.
Perfect.
Despite cryptic warnings from the staff, Ivy feels irresistibly drawn to the dusty shelves, where familiar works mingle with strange esoteric texts. And she senses something else in the library too. A presence that seems to have a will of its own. So, of course, there's a village nearby the Abbey, as there are, and there's rumors swirling around, as they do, about ghosts and curses, and an enigmatic manuscript at the center of it all. So Ivy's going to try to uncover the library's mysteries in order to reclaim her own story before it vanishes forever. I'm telling Ivy, go back to London. Just go back to London. But I'm going to pick this up. That sounds right up my alley. The Last Heir to Blackwood Library by Hester Fox.
I'm excited to hear what you think of it. My next book is The Last Word. This is by Taylor Adams, and it comes out April 25th. So I feel like this book is definitely grounded in the fears. Book reviewers, can understandably fear the author that they might be critiquing when they are reviewing a novel or something. So this feels very realistic, this book. So we have our main character, Emma Carpenter, and she just chills. She lives in isolation. She's with her golden retriever, and she lives in Washington, a beachfront home. It's always rainy, of course, and
as it is.
Yes, so she only really talks to like her the house owner and her old neighbor, whose name is Deke. So she reads this poorly but gruesome horror novel by somebody named H.G. Kane. So she posts a 1-star review. And what happens is she gets into this online argument with none other than the author himself.
Well, that happens.
Yes, all the time. This is why this book is a little scary. So soon after, there's some disturbing incidences that start to occur at night. And for Emma, this just doesn't feel like a coincidence. Things just are strange enough, and things are just being a little too close. And she thinks that maybe the author could be stalking her too.
Is this like Misery by Stephen King, but in reverse?
Oh, actually, a little bit.
Kind of.
Yeah. So Emma digs more into this author's life, his work, etc. And he's published like 16 other novels, and they're all very similar. So they're all sadistic tales of stalking and murder. But who is this person? Like, and how did he find her? And what else is he possibly capable of? This is a very like fast-paced novel. It is disturbing. It's a deadly game of cat and mouse, and I think it's grounded in reality. I've heard some horror stories with authors and their reviewers before, and man, sometimes just don't read your 1-star reviews. Just don't do it. So this is The Last Word. This is by Taylor Adams.
That sounds really good.
I know.
My next book I wanted to mention is Salvage This World, a novel by Michael Farris Smith. It comes out April 25 at the end of the month. It's a riveting epic where a young woman returns home with her child to her ghost-haunted father, while a religious extremist hunts the storm-ridden territory to find the girl who might be the region's savior. In the hurricane-ravaged bottomlands of South Mississippi, stores are closing, jobs are few. A fierce zealot has gained a foothold, as they do, capitalizing on the vulnerability of a dwindling, and I'm going to add this, and uneducated population. And they have a burning need for hope. So as the zealot, a female, preaches and promises salvation from the light of her pulpit, in the shadows, she's actually sowing the seeds of violence. What a bitch. I'm sorry.
Wow.
So elsewhere, Jessie and her toddler, Jace, are on the run across the Mississippi-Louisiana line in a resentful return to her childhood home and her desolate father. I'm sure she has a reason for returning, and it's because Holt, Jace's father, the baby daddy, is missing and hunted by a brutish crowd. An old man witnesses the wrong thing in the depths of night. In only a matter of days, all their lives will collide and be altered in the maelstrom of the changing world. This sounds a little bit like environmental horror or eco horror, possibly.
Little, yeah.
But it must be very literary because the publisher is Little Brown and Company, and they don't mess around.
Wow.
And they don't normally publish dystopian or post-apocalyptic or anything like that, or horror. So I'm wondering how dark this is or what's happening. I can't say the plot is really drawing me in, but I am curious.
Yeah.
That's Salvage This World by Michael Farris Smith.
My next book is Scourge Between the Stars. It came out April 4th. This is by Ness Brown. It is also by Tor, publisher. So we have our main protagonist, Jacqueline Albright, who is the captain of Starship Calypso. I like the name. I love that name. And she's responsible for keeping the last of humanity alive as they limp back to Earth from their forebears' failed colony on a distant planet.
No pressure, just keep all of humanity alive by yourself. Good luck.
Right, exactly. So not only are they faced with constant threats like, starvation, the, destruction of all humanity, minefields in interstellar space, all kinds of stuff. Jacqueline's crew, it has definitely reached their breaking point, and because now there's unrest on the ship, a new threat emerges. And can you guess what that threat possibly could be?
Please be an alien. Please be an alien.
It's an alien. So something is definitely picking off each crew member. It's grim, it's bloody, it's yucky, and it is hunting people down. And now Jacqueline and her team have to figure out what is it and hunt it down. So I've been asking the world to give me a space horror novel, and Tor has done that. So maybe I will give Tor a chance.
How is this different than Alien? Or anything in the Alien universe? But okay, I'm up for it.
I don't know, but there's plenty of alien video games too that have the same plot line, like a colony of aliens or one alien eating people. And it just, I don't know. I don't think it's never been exhausting for me. Hopefully this book does it well. I think it just needs to be done well. So this is Scourge Between the Stars. This is by Ness Brown.
Is it a YA book? Because on the front it says, "Don't open the door." And that seems like something they put on a kid's book.
Does it? It does, doesn't it? That's so funny. No, it is not. But it does say Tortrade. I don't know if that makes a difference.
Yeah,
and it's not
don't
very
know.
long. It's 175 pages. So, yeah, who knows?
My next book is Sisters of the Lost Nation by Nick Medina. Comes out tomorrow, April 18. It's a young native girl's hunt for answers about the women mysteriously disappearing from her tribe's reservation. This leads her to delve into the myths and stories of her people, all while being haunted herself. Anna Horn is always looking over her shoulder. She's looking for the bullies who torment her, for the entitled visitors at the reservation's casino, and for the nameless, disembodied entity that stalks her every step.
Ooh.
An ancient tribal myth come to life, one that's intent on devouring her whole. That would suck. So strange and sinister happenings start occurring around the casino. So luckily, Katie and I almost went to a casino a couple days ago and we ran out of time.
Oh, I'm so
Or we'd be
sad
freaked
about
out
it.
right now. Anna starts to suspect that not all of the horrors on the reservation are old, and girls start to go missing, and the tribe scrambles to find answers, and she struggles with her place on the res. Searching for the key, she sure lies in the legends of her tribe's past. And then her own little sister disappears. She'll do anything to bring Grace home. But the demons plaguing the reservation, both ancient and new, are strong. And sometimes it's the stories that never get told that are the most important. Sisters of the Lost Nation by Nick Medina. How do you... I kind of almost don't want to sensationalize, because we do have a big problem here in the Pacific Northwest with women disappearing from reservations.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that this author himself is Native American, or else this is kind of exploitive. So I'm probably not going to pick this up unless I do a little more research on it. But we wanted to give you guys the option to check it out and see what you think.
Yeah, I think that's fair. All right, my next book is an anthology, which is exciting, and more. There's so many exciting things about this. It is called Twice Cursed. It is actually the sequel to the Cursed anthology book. So it is 16 more curses in this book. There are there's the blend. There's traditional and reimagined curses from fairy tales like Snow White.
Ooh.
Yes. There's a new interpretation of the Red Shoes.
Sleeping Beauty, I'm guessing, with the spindle.
Right. There's also a invitation to the Labyrinth, which I'm assuming is a retelling of the Minotaur. Minotaur. That's a hard word for me for some reason. But here's the cool things. We have all kinds of stories from great authors. Joe Hill, Neil Gaiman, Joanne Harris. We have Angela Slatter, M.R. Carey. I mean, it's really good. And I had no idea. Yeah. And I had no idea it was a sequel, because the sequel also has some amazing authors. I mean, like the prequel had amazing authors. Catriona Ward is a part of that one.
My gosh.
We have Christina Henry, Jane Yolen, Karen Joy Fowler. So this is a fun anthology, duology. Maybe they'll do a third one. Who knows? Maybe they'll just keep going. So please. I'm excited. So this is Twice Cursed, an anthology with lots of amazing 16 more curses, but also check out the first one too, the Cursed anthology book. What is your next book, Carrie?
The Untethered Sky by Fonda Lee. It came out April 11. It looks like a dark fantasy from Tor.com, your favorite publisher.
Sorry.
Well, Esther's family was torn apart when wait for it, Manticore killed her mother and baby brother. That's harsh.
Yeah.
Leaving her with nothing but her father's painful silence and a single, understandable, overwhelming need to kill the monsters that took her family. You get them.
Yeah.
So her path leads her to the king's royal muse, MEWS, not like the king's inspiration, where the giant rocks of legend are flown to hunt manticores by their brave and dedicated rookers. made-up word. Paired with a fledgling rock named Zara, Hester finds purpose and acclaim by devoting herself to a calling that demands absolute sacrifice and a creature that will never return her love. Oh, just like horses with me. I love horses. They're like, nah. So they have a terrifying partnership between the woman and the rock, ROC, which I assume means dragon. I don't know. And so she goes on a manticore hunt. This is a little too sword and sorcery warrior for me, but I wanted to bring it up because there's not a lot of books about manticores getting killed, so cool. It is Untethered Sky by Fonda Lee.
My next book is called You Shouldn't Have Come Here. It comes out April 25th. It's by Geneva Rose. It is like a Hallmark movie gone wrong.
You know what? I really wish I could have had this book and laid it on your guest bed when you came to see me, and you'd walk in and be like, yeah, I'm here. You shouldn't have come here. No, I'm just kidding. It would have freaked you out.
I think I would have been so tired. I would have been like, oh, Carrie misplaced her book. Oh, man. Okay, so we have our main character, Grace Evans. She's an overworked New Yorker, a city girl, and she wants to escape the busy life. So she goes and looks for an Airbnb on a ranch in the middle of Wyoming. She meets this beautiful, handsome man named Calvin Wells, and he's very eager to introduce her to his easygoing life. But, of course, because this is a Hallmark movie going terribly wrong, things Grace is discovering she's not too pleased about, like, clearly cell phone service is lacking. Okay, Grace, what did you think? But even more, there's a missing woman, and something's not right about this ranch. Something's weird. So despite her uneasiness, she just bonds with Calvin. They fall, not in love. Yes, they do. It says they fall for one another. Oh, Grace, it's a vacation at an Airbnb. Anyway, so she's got her departure date arriving fairly soon, and things change for the worst. What begins as a playful romance soon turns into a complicated web of lies, and Grace grows wary of Calvin as his infatuation for her seems to have morphed into obsession, the theme for this month.
Another obsession.
Yes. So Calvin fears that Grace is hiding something from him, this is actually turning more into like a Lifetime movie now that I think about it, including her reason for staying at his ranch to begin with. So she's got some secrets too. So the vacation fling typically ends in heartbreak, but for Grace and Calvin, it's more destructive and potentially more dangerous. So this book is called You Shouldn't Have Come Here. Honestly, this would be a fun vacation read, especially if you love thrillers like this. It'd just be, I like doing reads like this while I am on vacation because I like to torture myself for some reason. So this is by Geneva Rose.
It looks so good. I'm getting it too. Okay. But I don't get to have a vacation.
Yeah.
My final book today is We Are a Haunting. I'm very confused by the cover, which is almost a comic book, but not. It's very ugly and weird. It's not selling me on the book. But wait till you find out what it's about. We Are a Haunting by Tyriek White. Comes out April 25. In 1980s Brooklyn, Key is enchanted with her world and glowing with her dreams. She's a charming and tender doula serving the Black women of her East New York neighborhood. And she lives, like her mother, among the departed and learns to speak to them and for them. But she has an untimely death, and it leaves behind her mother, Audrey. And Audrey is about to lose the public housing apartment they once shared. And she leaves behind Collie, her grieving son. And he finds out he actually inherited the sacred gift. And he also can begin to slip into the liminal space between the living and the dead on his journey to self-realization. So in the present, Collie gets expelled from school, and he has to go across town, and he's feeling detached and disenchanted with his community, and he realizes he's got to be accountable to the place he's from. So he goes to college, and he's learned how to make friendship, kinship, community, and foster love, and he returns to East New York, where he came from, and he's going to address structural neglect and the crumbling blocks of New York City public housing he was born to. And it's a supernatural family saga, a searing social critique, and a potent account of displaced lives. So it's not going to be the darkest book ever, but I'm curious to see how he uses the ability to slip between worlds and talk to the living and the dead. I'm kind of curious. It
Yeah.
might be a little difficult of a read. Like right now I need vacation reads, but I wanted to bring it up. It's an unusual type of book. We don't often find out about books like this that involve talking to the dead. It's usually more of a thriller. It's We Are a Haunting by Tyria White.
Our final book of today is The Wishing Pool and Other Stories. It comes out April 18th, and it is by Tananarive Due. I am excited. I like the cover. I think it's very pretty. So we have, this book is divided into 4 sections, and they are classic tales of horror. We have a series of short stories that are set in Florida, a Florida town, where the swamp tends to swallow people up. That sounds actually real. So the final 2 sections of this book shift to more of like a science fiction about a post-apocalyptic futures.
Ooh, yes.
And the last sections include pandemic stories, but this was written before 2020, and that, just a FYI, they might actually hit harder now because of what has happened. So Tananarive Due shows just how much territory she can cover in just one short book, and how versatile terrifying tales can be. So if you're looking for more of a short story kind of book for the spring and summertime, especially since spring break is coming up, or has, come up. Sorry, guys. Already. Yeah, but we have Memorial Day weekend coming up, so we still need a collection of books. I love short stories. They're really easy to kind of wrap up during a nighttime. So this is The Wishing Pool and Other Stories. This is by Tananarive Due.
And that is our latest podcast episode. Thank you so much for listening. You could also watch our podcasts on many places, including YouTube, Facebook, eventually Instagram. And we also have an Amazon Live channel at amazon.com/live/Dark Side of the Library. We'd love to hear from you. Be sure to check out the affiliate links in the podcast notes and the YouTube caption. We get a small commission, and we are looking forward to exploring even more books with you. Coming up on Wednesdays and Fridays, we publish about dark nonfiction, dark YA, and dark children's books. See you in the next episode.
Bye.